In this video we have talked about what problems did Cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema faced with Imax cameras. How did Panavision and Kodak helped Hoytema with lenses and film stocks? How did Hoytema shot atomic bomb test scene? Which book did Cinematographer Hoytema referred for shooting atomic bomb scene? The problem with Imax cameras Cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema faced was that the Imax cameras were very noisy, but they were priceless when it came to depth and image quality. While shooting tight, intimate shots, the noise of Imax cameras was creating problems for the sound department. So some of these shots were shot on 65mm, 5x film. But even then, Cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema tried to do a few takes in Imax in the hope he could incorporate it. Director Christopher Nolan split the film into two distinct stylistic strands: fission means color, designed to put the audience subjectively into Oppenheimer's head during his early years as well as his time on the Manhattan Project, and fusion means black and white, which offered a more objective point of view, focusing on Louis Strauss, who, it is eventually revealed, was the driving force behind Oppenheimer's security clearance being revoked in 1954. Hoyte van Hoytema believes that the worst thing he can do as a cinematographer is to panic and try to tweak and doctor the scene in front of the camera to make it more interesting. If the script is well written, Hoytema believes that there is not much for him to add as a cinematographer. This scene takes place with slightly too many men in a too small room. As a cinematographer, Hoytema believed that he must flow with the scene and capture it as it is. Hoyte van Hoytema liked that they were going to shoot it on a real location in a real room. It always excites him because he hates the idea of pulling out walls to find cool shots and get tempted into things. That room forced him to focus on characters, on their face, on what they see and what characters say, the way Cillian Murphy looks at those men, and the way those men move in on him. All that stuff happens in small gestures, small expressions, and small emotions growing bigger but growing under the skin. I guess those limitations become advantages for Hoyte van Hoytema. Hoyte van Hoytema started with an extremely naked close-up of Oppenheimer. He built a lens that allowed him to be closer to characters, so the Imax camera would literally be a foot from their faces sometimes. He built this lens, which was a 40mm lens that was usually reserved for epic wide shots, but you could never get close to people. Technically it was not possible. So people from Panavision helped Hoyte van Hoytema and tweaked that 40mm lens, and suddenly they could go closer and closer and closer for those few intimate moments. Hoyte van Hoytema used this lens several times throughout the movie. At the time, black and white 65mm film didn't exist. Team of Oppenheimer asked Kodak to manufacture it. Shooting in black and white 65mm film presented a set of formidable challenges for the production. At the time, such a film did not exist, and its creation required a custom manufacturing process. The Oppenheimer team had to work closely with Kodak to develop a specialized emulsion that would produce the desired black and white look. Additionally, the cameras used for the shoot had to be re-engineered to accommodate the new film. This involved modifying the film gates, lenses, and other components to ensure that the film would be properly exposed and transported. The Oppenheimer team also faced challenges in the laboratory. The chemicals used to develop and process black and white film were different from those used for color film. This meant that the laboratory machines had to be exchanged and reconfigured to handle the new chemicals. The team had to carefully plan the production schedule around the use of black and white and color film, as changing from one to the other during the shoot would have significant implications. The challenges of shooting in black and white 65mm film were not limited to the technical aspects. Hoyte van Hoytema also had to consider the artistic implications. Black and white photography can create a distinct visual aesthetic, and Hoyte van Hoytema had to make sure that the film's look would complement the story and the overall vision of Chris Nolan. Ultimately, the Hoyte van Hoytema successfully overcame the challenges of shooting in black and white 65mm film. If you like our content, support us by contributing through Super Thanks. Even small contribution would help us grow. So how did they shoot that one explosion? The Trinity test was not a single solution or decision. They did multiple testing, whole bunch of different things that were figured out and combined them, then it became interesting. Every single shot of explosion is very different. Some shots are in little aquarium tanks shot with snorkel lenses, some are big explosions on site, and others are weird light gags. These different shots were shot on multiple cameras. Some were shot at high speed. Some in large format. Hoytema was fascinated by Peter Curran's book, How to Photograph an Atomic Bomb, and referenced it while replicating the Trinity explosion. He investigated the side development of extremely high-speed, ultralight-sensitive, and split-field cameras and long lenses to record the nuclear explosions. Hoyte van Hoytema selected the 50mm and 80mm as his preferred lenses that he believes touch the sweet spot of immersiveness in IMAX. The film does not put its sights on showing the nuclear devastation at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Rather, it focuses on the moral implications that overcome the scientist who contends with the guilt of constructing such a weapon. Technical aspect. Cameras and lenses which were used are Imax Mk3, Imax Mk4, Imax MS-M9802, Panavision Panaflex System 65, Panavision Panspeed and System 65 lenses, and Panavision Sphero 65 and Hasselblad lenses. Negative format which were used are 65mm, Kodak Vision 350D 5203, Vision 3250D 5207, Vision 3500T 5219, Eastman XX 5222. Thanks for watching. Please comment down your thoughts, I would like to hear them.